Hey folks, it's Marziti here, and for those of you that don't have access to Microsoft Excel, but you might have access to Open Office or something like that, and you're trying to figure out how you can make the best, the closest thing you can make to a pressure map, the open interest pressure map that I referred to in my new day trader video. I decided I'd show you how you can manually do that. So we're going to take this I've done just to show some things here. I'm going to recreate this here and just kind of show you some stuff. So I'm going to bring up any old spreadsheet, and I'm going to have my calls, and I'm going to have my puts. Now remember, as we said before, open interest is a fixed value at the start of the day. When market opens, open interest is the number of contracts left open from the prior day. They may have been simple overnighters. They may be weeks into this contract. They could be months into this contract, but they're still open when the market opened, this morning. As opposed to volume, which changes throughout the day. Volume starts at 0 in the morning and will, get bigger and bigger and bigger, but it will start at 0. But open interest, when the market opens, these numbers are fixed all day. So we're going to talk about, so all I'm going to look at is the open interest on the calls and the open interest on the puts. So let's kind of manually build this spreadsheet real quick. So I'm just simply going to start, we're going to start with our strike of 108. Actually, why don't I, let's just move this over. And we'll have our strike of 108. Now I'm going to do this right, about 20 minutes, 15, 20, 30 minutes before market opens, because I want the at the money to be kind of in the middle of things. I don't want to do it like the night before, because then come to find out overnight the price moved $10, $15, and your numbers are nowhere near where they're, the strikes are completely different. So we're going to start with the 108 on this open interest, and I'm just going to put those numbers in right here. 2871, 3812 is the next one, right below it. 12,544, 5366. What do we got? 9410. 69, you know what, I'm just going to abbreviate these. 6,900, 6,700, 23,000, 8,400, and 4,650, let's just say. And we see this took us from the 108 to the 117. So we'll do 109, and however you can manually put these in Excel or stuff like that. You can highlight these two and grab this tiny little corner right here and drag it down, and it understands what you're trying to do. Manually fill it in, whatever. So let's go to the 108 here on the puts now, and we're looking here. And so we've got 4,600. We've got 2,600. Whoops. We've got 12,800, I'll round that up. 3,500, 3,700, 3,000, call that 2,000, call that 7,400, call that 1,100, and 900. All right, so that's roughly the open interest of the calls from here, and the open interest for the puts from here. Now, in the industry, the ratio, the number that they use is puts divided by calls. So all I'm going to do, and any spreadsheet will do this, the format may be a little different, but 90% of the time it's going to be exactly like I type it. You simply say equals puts divided by calls. Now we'll go over the numbers here in just a moment. I am going to format this down to 2 digits here, like that. Then I'm going to copy this cell, and I'm going to paste it in these cells, and now you have your put-call ratio. So what does this tell me? Well, this tells me that if the put-call ratio is greater than 1, then the puts win. If the put-call ratio is less than 1, then the calls win. Okay. But here's the thing. If it's, we really want to see more separation. So let's kind of look at it this way. I'm going to refine the rule and say I want 50% more strength in one side over the other. So if the puts and the call ratio is greater than, 1.5, then the puts are strongest. If the put-call ratio is less than 0.5, then the calls are strongest. So let's take a look at this here. Here at this strike here, at the 108 strike, we see 1.6. Now that, remember the math, that's puts over calls. So if it's greater than 1, the puts are stronger. It's more than 1.5, so the puts have got a very strong advantage here. This is in call territory, but, it's pretty close to 0.5, but okay. This is about break even. The number of puts and the number of calls, contracts, are kind of even. This leans towards call territory. This leans heavily towards calls. This leads heavy towards calls, and calls. So here you can just kind of do it this way, but see, there's one other little problem that you can run into, and that is when there are times when you'll run into, let's just say, and I'm just going to change these numbers just to kind of illustrate a point. Let's say that's what you got. Let's say there were a whopping total of 4 contracts on the call line, open interest, and 1 contract on the put line. And you look at this and you say, oh, wow, that's very, very amazingly heavy on the call side. Well, it is, but there's no contracts here. There's just no numbers here. I want to see numbers over 2,000s. So I'm going to undo this. Tell you what, I'm going to, since we've recreated all this, I'm going to delete these columns here and everything moves over because I want to move this column over here. All right. So let's do a tally. We're going to sum it up, and this again equals puts plus calls. And I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it. And I see now that all these numbers are over 2,000. But if, for example, let's go back to this one down here again where I saw 4 and 1. The tally here is less than 2,000, so I just disregard this entire line. So now I've got my put-call ratio, and I've got my tally. And I can look at this now and, see if that works. Now, there is another way. There is more that you can do here. And I'll show you some stuff that you can do in Excel. And there may be equivalents in OpenOffice and other things like that. But let's just see if I can do this real quick here. Let's see if I can make a scorecard line. Equals if open to my left is greater than 2,000, then if open put call ratio is greater than 1.5, then quote put quote close. That finishes off the internal if. Now to finish out the outer if, comma, we'll just say 0. That's fine. So this will be score for puts. And then we'll say score for call. So equals if open tally is greater than 2,000, then if open the put call ratio is less than 0.5, then quote call quote else 0 close. There's the inner if. And now for the outer if. You know what? I'm going to change that. Let's just, instead of, it either says call or it says nothing, blank, a space. And we'll change the put. You know, and I didn't finish this here. There. Now let's copy. Paste it down. And there you go. So here we've built spreadsheet, and let me pull this up so you can see the formula again. But basically this is an if inside of an if. If you know, different spreadsheets are going to have different syntaxes to do it, but this is a way that you could do it. You just have to figure out how to do it on your spreadsheet. But here we've got it. So it's not colorized like my other one. This says zeros because why? There's not 2,000 total contracts. But let's just kind of center this. And there you go. There's your pressure map. It doesn't have colors, but it does have words. So hopefully you can get something out of that. And now, like I say, you need to you pull up your charting software, and you can do this now with any. It doesn't have to be Thinkorswim. You know, if you're using E-Trade or Fidelity or TradeStation, whatever, as long as you can see the open interest column for your ticker, like this was on AMD, right before the market opens, and then you can save this, and then in the mornings, all you have to change is that. You update the strikes, you update the open interest, and all of this will automatically calculate for you. So I hope that helps. And, you know, that's a way you can manually do it. And hopefully that'll kind of help. Remember, like I said before, open interest pressure maps only work for the first 1 to 2 hours of the day. After the market open, I'm East Coast, so for me the market's open at 9:30. By 11 o'clock, I disregard the pressure map after that. I disregard it. And to be honest, by this time of day, you should have already made the bulk of your moves, kind of thing. So remember, this is only good for about the first hour, maybe 2 hours of the market open. But it only takes just a few minutes to do this right before the market opens, just to fill in these 3 columns. You know, maybe you're watching 3-4 stocks. Doesn't take you but 10, 15 minutes. You've got this updated, print it out, whatever you want to. There's your summaries telling you. What does this tell me? This tells me right here, in this case here, that is a no trade zone. No trade. Sit on your hands. Why? There is no pressure to push the stock down. Of course, I've got this 108 to 117, so the lower numbers are at the top. Kind of backwards, but whatever. But this is a no trade zone. There's no pressure here pushing this, no heavy pressure pushing the stock or the ETF or whatever in any one particular direction. So I wait until I get to the 108s, and then I start looking for puts. Or I wait till I get to the 112, and then I start looking for calls. But until it gets there, there's nothing here to tell you anything. So, anyway, hope that helps, and stay green.